Installing solar power is a great way to power your home with clean energy. But did you know that your solar system will stop working during a grid outage when you need it most? Unfortunately, almost all residential and light commercial grid-tied solar systems need utility power to operate, so they won't work when the grid goes down. You may have discovered that your solar array is rendered useless during a grid outage. Until now, your only options to produce backup power were to install generators and deal with their pollution, noise, safety, maintenance, and periodic cycling issues. Or AC-coupled solutions that are complicated, inefficient at charging batteries, and often too expensive. Fortunately, Morningstar's direct DC coupling solution enables a better way to convert your grid-tied system to include battery backup power. You just add a small battery bank. Morningstar's internationally recognized TriStar MPPT 600-volt controller with DC transfer switch, an inverter charger, and some wiring. These added components can be installed outside, in the garage, or in the basement. Your trusted PV installer can complete the installation so you can have clean, economical backup power capability to run your critical loads when the grid goes down. We'll show you how this works, starting with the solar charge controller that has an installed DC transfer switch. While the grid is working, you keep the DC transfer switch on the controller in the grid on, controller off position. Here you see a block diagram where the controller and components have been installed. With the DC transfer switch in the grid on, controller off position, power starts off flowing through this grid-tied system, just as you would expect it to. DC power from your solar array gets directed to power the string inverter, and power flows to your main service panel, and excess power gets credited to your utility bill. Then the main service panel supplies power to an installed critical load subpanel for the loads you wish to run during an outage. Power also goes to a backup inverter charger, which converts AC power to DC power to charge your backup battery bank, so the batteries will be charged and ready when you have a grid outage. During a grid failure, you simply turn the switch to the battery backup controller on position. With the switch in this position, the DC power from the array flows through the controller and charges the batteries. The batteries send power to the inverter charger, which converts the DC to AC power and directs the power to the critical load subpanel so that critical loads can be run, such as your refrigerator, some lights, your computer, your sump pump, and cell phone charging outlets. So the PV array that you already paid for can now be put to good use to provide backup power when the grid isn't working. As a result, you have uninterrupted power to your critical loads, so you can run your lights and critical appliances even while the grid is down. And when the grid power is restored, you simply turn the controller's transfer switch to the grid on, controller off position. Retrofitting existing grid-tied systems with battery backup using the TriStar MPPT 600-volt controller with DC transfer switch is a simple, clean, economical, and completely scalable solution to meet your critical power needs. The cost of adding backup is typically 10 to 25% of your overall PV system cost, depending on the amount of backup required and your budget. You can start with a small, low-cost backup for only your most critical loads and add batteries at inverter capacity incrementally in the future if your backup needs increase. Please contact Morningstar or your solar installer for further details.